The open price tells us where the balance between buyers and sellers at the opening of that period. The opening value is the first trade of the day. After the traders have time to review the markets overnight, the open represents the desired position of investors to begin the day. The change from the previous close to the open is a reflection of new sentiments. Also, institutions looking to accumulate or distribute a position often place orders at the open because the open trade is often the largest, most liquid trade of the day. In this way, the open might be one of the best times to distribute a large volume of stock while minimizing the impact on the stock's price. The high. The high is the highest point the stock traded during the session. The high is the furthest point the bulls were able to push the stock higher before sellers regained control to push the stock back down. The high represents a stronghold for sellers and a resistance area to buyers. There is one exception: when the stock closes on the high, it did not encounter any real resistance from the sellers. The buyers just ran out of time. The low. The low is the lowest point the stock traded during the session. The low is the furthest point the bears were able to force down the stock before buyers regained control to push the stock up. The low represents an area where enough demand existed to prevent the price from moving lower. The exception is when the security closes on the low. When the stock closes at the low, it did not encounter buying support. Rather, the bulls were saved by the closing bell of the session. The close price tells us where the balance point was at the end of the period. The close is the last price agreed upon between buyers and sellers ending the trading session. The close is the market's final evaluation. A lot can happen between one close to the next close. The close represents investors' sentiments and convictions of investors at the end of the day. It is the position investors desire to hold after hours when investors are unable to trade with liquidity until the next session opens. The closing price is the first and oftentimes the only price the majority of investors desire to know.